Hey guys, the series is finally back on TV. They've left off a few weeks back. I'd say shortly before Christmas was when the last episode was shown. But the series is finally back. It's episode 11, and let's talk about tonight's excellent episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., episode number 11. I really enjoyed this episode, you guys. I would go so far as to say as I think this is the best episode of the series so far, even better than episode 1, even better than episode 2, even better than the one with the fire guy. And I really enjoyed this episode a lot, you guys. In this episode, basically, it takes place right after episode 10 left us, kind of that mid-season finale. Middle of the season wasn't technically the end of the season of the it wasn't the season finale for season 1 yet, but um, we have quite a few episodes left, I believe. And so basically, in this episode, the people at the end of episode 10 held Agent Coulson hostage. They're trying to figure out how he was able to come back to life after the events of the Avengers. They do some pretty big research on him. They, analyze him. They ask him questions. They put him through all these series of tests that they do through this technology available to them. We get to learn kind of why Agent Coulson's always having these hallucinations about him and this like beach getaway with like his spouse or this woman that's always comforting him, and why that memory is there and not something else, and why he's always having these very positive thoughts about his past and nothing about the negative thoughts that he's had in his past. And while Coulson's being held hostage, we have Agent Skye from the other agents who wasn't held hostage from the last episode, who are still running around and still doing missions for S.H.I.E.L.D. while they look for Coulson and find out where he is. And she gets a hold of some type of a financial advisor, supporter, someone who pursues the finances for these people who are holding Coulson hostage. She manages, since Skye's very good with computers and hacking things and things of that nature, she's able to find someone that basically um, basically would know about the whereabouts of where these people are and where they're holding Coulson at that moment. And so basically she's trying to basically disguise herself, not really disguise herself, more like she's pretending to be Agent May, the Asian agent, while all this is going on, ultra serious, no side of Skye at all, and things of that nature. So through this activity and through this event, they're able to figure out where Coulson is, and they get a small snippet of kind of what they were doing to him before they got there. And ever since and like for throughout the remainder of the rest of that episode or tonight's episode, we kind of see Coulson hiding back about all this. He doesn't want his fellow agents that he's working with knowing about basically what they were going through or what he was really going through or what he actually knows about what they were doing to him after the events of the Avengers and things of that nature. So, like I said, guys, really, really good episode, and it really, I guess what I really liked about tonight's episode is it ties in with like almost every episode that happens previously, whether it's the good episodes, whether it's the bad episodes, whether it's the kind of okay that could have been better kind of episodes. They tie in everything. Several characters from several previous episodes came back. Um, Samuel L. Jackson really doesn't have a appearance in this, I should say, but he does. He is mentioned quite a bit, and we get to see a brief clip of him from the Avengers used at one point in the episode. So I thought that was kind of cool. So on to the positives and negative thoughts of this reaction video for this episode. Like I was saying, right when the video started, you guys, this is the best episode yet we've had of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It really just sums up what the show's about. It really just represented, what all these agents can do, what they're assigned to, what they really mean to Shield. Um, we get to learn more about Coulson and why he was able to come back after the events of the Avengers, and the CGI and the action was just really well done in this episode. So just really incredible episodes. Whoever directed this episode, I really wish we had that person back. And I hope the future episodes that we get are going to be similar to this, because this is really incredible. And if these episodes remain this incredible, I think we can get people back on the show, since it looks like we lost quite a few viewers on the show. And I think if this episode and future episodes are this high quality, I think this could become a huge show. And not only that, I think we could possibly even get a season 2 and 3 based off of just how successful this episode is alone, and if those future episodes can remain as good as this episode was tonight. I really enjoyed the impressive camera filters and TV show filmmaking strategies they used for this episode. Just really impressive. It really felt big budget. It really felt like they spent a lot of time making this episode, which unfortunately a few episodes previous before this one didn't really feel like that. It really felt like something I would be watching during the Phase One Marvel films. It just really was that impressive. It just really looked and felt and emotionally grabbed me throughout the whole time I was watching it. A lot of X Men, Iron Man 1, and Avengers references. If you've seen the original Iron Man, you'll know exactly what that little stunner that Jeff Bridges had in that movie that he used to stun people in the face and stuff. There's a very much a big reference to that at one point in this episode, which really got the big fanboy in me really excited at what I was looking at. Um, there's a reference to an X-Men character in this, and I'm wondering if we're going to see an X-Men character at some point or someone related to a character we saw in the Wolverine. There's a character in the Wolverine, if you've never seen that one, for those who haven't seen that, she can see people's deaths before they happen. And so they played off of that in that movie. They briefly reference a character with a similar superpower in this. So I'm wondering if that character from the Wolverine is going to have a cameo at some point. I think that'd be kind of cool. Um, and just a ton of Avengers references. They talk about the Chitauri and basically what Coulson did throughout the Avengers and things of that nature. All the main agents of the show got something really cool to do tonight. Skye specifically had a lot of cool things to do in this episode, which I'm really happy for because I'm a huge fan of Skye. I think she's one of the better agents on the show. Agent May, though she wasn't front and center like she normally would be for other episodes, she still got a ton of action scenes that were just really cool to watch in this. Even Agent Simmons and Fitz, who really don't get a lot to do in this show, even they did a lot of really neat things. You could definitely tell what Shield has them there for, and it's just like I said, guys, this episode just really nailed it. I really hope future episodes are like this because this is a really incredible episode they did here. Like I said, I just loved how all the agents had so many cool things to do in tonight's episode. Skye is officially a badass. I'm just going to mention that. She just, when she was pretending to be Agent May in this episode at one point, I just really loved everything she was doing. It just shows just how flexible of an actress Chloe Bennett is in the role of Skye. Um, I just really liked how Skye is able to kind of be herself and someone else, that she's trying to be in the moment. And just a really neat thing they did with her character in this episode. And I really hope we see more of this side of Skye in the future because I think not only were us as the viewers were happy with what we saw, Agent Coulson himself seemed really happy with how Agent Skye is really growing to the team and how she's really going to be helpful to this team in future episodes. I liked how all the previous episodes, like I was saying earlier, were just gelled together in this episode. Every episode had a reason for its existence. Like I said, whether it was a good episode, whether it was a bad episode, just every episode had a reason to exist simply because this episode was just so amazing and was able to tie into all those things we saw previously. Whether it was a character we weren't sure of, or a place, or some type of information that was given during a previous episode. I mean, all those things were wrapped up into this new, almost this new opening to season one. And it was just really incredible to see all that put into this episode. I was really happy with what I saw. For the negatives of this episode, and strangely enough, I really don't have a lot because, like I said, I was very happy with what I saw here. Um, there were some confusing answers to some big questions that we've had throughout the show so far. It's like, that makes sense, but at the same time, it doesn't. It was one of those kind of things throughout this episode. I thought the end credit scene was a little ridiculous. Don't get me wrong. The character that they were showing in the end credit sequence, he's a great character. I'm glad that we're probably going to get him back in the show some way. But it was just really ridiculous. It's like, really, they're going that direction now. It's just like, ugh. It's just like, leave the poor guy alone. It's just like, get him off the show. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a great character, but his scene in the last episode, not this one, but the last episode, was just so dramatic and so powerful. It's just like, just leave it to that. I mean, I would much prefer that guy having that, happy exit out of the show. We got him out of the show in a good and dramatic way. It's just like, let's just leave it at that. Let's not go for the more sci-fi-ish route with this. I thought that was kind of ridiculous. Um, I think this episode could have used a little bit more action. I'm not complaining about it. I mean, I loved all the action they had in this episode. Maybe if they just had a little bit more, it just felt like it was lacking a one or two action bits in this. So, um, if they were to rewrite this episode, which I really hope they did, and I really liked it the way it was, but I would prefer maybe just one or two more snippets of action in this. I think that would have really helped this episode a lot. Um, I also didn't like how they didn't give Coulson a lot to do, specifically since all his other agents in this had a really cool things to do throughout the episode. I don't know if they did that simply because he was in this position when he was held hostage or what it was, but it's just like he was laying on the table or he's sitting up, and it's just like that's all they do with him the whole episode. And so, as far as Coulson getting something cool to do, it really wasn't that great for an episode when it came to that. But the episode was very Coulson heavy, so I guess it kind of makes up for that in that sense. So I was really happy with tonight episodes, you guys, and I really hope, like I said, future episodes are this good. So I'll see you here next week for next week's episode reaction for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode 12.